Back to this format. For 1 second, Betty. I may call you Betty Grace accidentally or on purpose. I'm not going to read the news. I'm just bringing this up and alright. You probably won't see the screen anyway, but I'm just using a different phone to record. Not that that matters to anyone but me and you, maybe. I don't know. I left off online, and I think what I'm going to do, Betty. I try for the shortest pauses possible, but as you know, or as you will know, that's how my mind works. So I have a number of themes for my comedy. They all tie together, but I think they all work separately as well. Might as well start with the weirdest, which I call Parent, Perv, or Pedo. Now, I'm just going to leave it at that. Next is Poor Retired. I'm just writing these out in the notebook, just in case. Lying. Trains should be one, but instead I'll call it Patience. And then, although it's mostly mostly related to poor retired living situation or household. And then comedy, actually the psychology of comedy. Autism. Memory. And you, Betty, the barista. Ooh, I like how that sounds. Barista. There's more, but that's what I'm going to start with. Because I need someplace to start. keep restarting this, Betty, but now I'm gonna get serious. A Day in the Life of Dave. Narrated by Dave. About Dave. About Dave's comedy. About Dave becoming the next world's greatest comedian. Which technically would mean that if I ever do become even top 10, that this is a prediction. Betty. I think Betty sounds a lot better than Grace. It's also easier for me to get into the next word. Grace was a showstopper. Is that Grace? Betty's an opener. My goal is when I forget what the fuck I'm doing. My goal is when I forget what the fuck I'm doing, to go back to my lessons that I've learned over the last 2 months of not spending an hour a day, every day, creating a podcast. God, I hate saying that. Creating a recording every day. I've already talked about this. I've already talked about this so many times. It's driving me nuts. So what I'm going to do what I'm going to do is I don't know if I've already included this or not, but here's one of the openers. Hi, I'm David. I'm not homeless, but I'm old, and sometimes I fall asleep on park benches. When I wake up, a couple of times, there's been food beside me, so people think I'm homeless. I haven't eaten the food, but I have stolen Chinese food, like a homeless person. I'll repay it one day. The point I was trying to make earlier, Betty, and I completely forgot, is every joke is going to be based on 100% truth, or at least verifiable, that it basically kind of happened. It doesn't have to happen exactly. As I've described, but near to. Hi, Betty. If this was a direct conversation between you and me, my landlord would be a cock blocker. 'Cause he always brings that fucking air blower thing out. Blow the leaves around. Right when I have something profound to say or have thought. Think the train is bad? What am I gonna do, Betty? I feel like I'm talking to you, but I'm acting. I don't like acting. I need this to be as real as humanly possible. For no reason other than because only true comedy can come from true reality. And I realize that sounds like a platitude. And a lot of this might, but it's what got me through the last couple of months. And basically the last 4 years. Or more. .4 years or more of being alone. Not necessarily lonely, but alone. An incredibly lucky person. Up until a few years ago, Betty, I needed something that fell on my lap. Not instantaneously, but for some reason, it always did. Until recently. And somehow, after being lucky for 40 years, I think I relied on it. And then when life got to where it is now, which I'll eventually explain through the comedy if I ever fucking get to that. I guess this is gonna be story. It's gonna be story time more than comedy. In the beginning. I just need to get started, Betty. Just like with Dear Grace. First one's a bitch. And then I can get into the mindset, I guess. Except David in Dear Grace was a character. Not a complete character, but a partial character. This David is the real David. No character, not holding anything back. Recording even though I'm tired as fuck and I don't really want to. And I'm not asking for pity, I don't need any fucking pity. Sorry, Betty. if I could wave a magic wand for someone that wants to change their life, isolation will do it. Spend so much time in the backyard, might as well call the movie Waiting for Betty. Here's a joke for you, Betty. One of my housemates, I thought was a nurse. Actually, she might be a nurse, I'm not sure. Because she wears nurse's scrubs. She always seems to come home around the same time. Anyway, as you know, I'm old. One second. We're done with the leaf blower, but it's Sunday night, so garbage, pail day, bin day. That's how old I am, Betty. I call them pails, not bins. I thought it'd be good having a nurse just in case I had a health issue. I could be like, go get the nurse. And then I realized I don't know her name or what room she's in. She's not on my floor. If she's on my floor, at least I'd know what room she's in. Still wouldn't know her name, but we'll get to that. That's another joke. Airplane overhead. I guess all the delays builds the build up to the joke, which is, I was on the train platform the other day and I noticed a girl in the same color scrubs, and then I looked at her backpack and it was for a beauty school. So maybe my housemate isn't trains now. I say trains, planes, automobiles aren't really a problem. Yeah, they are a problem too. The ones with the fucking sirens on them. Trains, planes, and automobiles. Anyways, so the joke is, she might be a cosmetologist, not a nurse. So a lot of good that's gonna do when I'm dying of a heart attack. What's she gonna do? Do my nails? Ha ha ha. So that's the joke. Only took me about 3 tries to get it out. However, for some reason, I'm 99% confident that when I get on stage, that joke will come out when and where it needs to, and as intended. Which sounds overly confident. And for a Sunday night, that's a lot of trains. Anyway, that sounds overly confident, but I decided I have 2 lessons. 2 comedy lessons. Well, actually, I've written down 13, but I'm only going to talk to you about 2. The first one is, if you can't figure out where to start, try every bit as your joke as opener, which we've already talked about many, many times. Probably only 20 minutes in, I've probably said that 10 times. Talking a little bit faster now. Someday, Betty, we'll listen to these together. Hopefully with our children. By then, AI can bleep out the bad shit. Or create our own little movie. Anyways, sorry. Mr. Landlord got too close for comfort. Dave's lesson number 2. Pretend you're the world's greatest anonymous comedian, 24/7, who cannot lie. And then in quotation brackets, I have easily. So my comedy is based on these two things. If you can't figure out where to start, try everything as an opener and pretend you're the world's greatest anonymous comedian, 24/7, who cannot lie. Anonymous is important, of course, because if you're anonymous, you can't get cancelled. Not that I care for myself, but I think there's a lot of advantage to living an anonymous life. Which is another opener about not being able to say A words, but I'm going to leave that for now. I'm not going to be able to get on a roll here, too many interruptions. I'm going to take a break, smoke as many cigarettes as humanly possible. And if my head doesn't melt or explode, then I'll continue. Maybe inside, where it's a little less distracting. Oh, Mr. Squirrel is collecting his nuts. I'll just narrate the backyard for you, Betty. Because you've never been in a backyard, I'm sure. Probably never been in a backyard like this one. Be right back, Betty. BRBB. Actually, Betty, I'm just talking to you so much that I'm going to go back to the old format for a few minutes while I sit outside and smoke. Got a lot of funny jokes about smoking. Start think they're funny, hilarious, whatever. Plastics turn into 200 times stronger material than steel. Can be used in industries. And how long did it take them to figure that out, Betty? I know that sounds pessimistic. It just sounds like some of the shit could have been figured out before. And don't worry, I'm not going back into the character. This time, nobody listens to this or watches this unless I know who they are and they pay me. Even if it's just $5 a month. No checks. BC landlords win ruling to increase rent by 23.5% over 2 years. Woohoo! That gives me incentive to move. And get on stage. Everything gives me incentive to get on stage. It's how life should be. Well, no internet connection. Never mind. That was a good idea, Betty, for about 5 seconds. Like most of my ideas. Instead I decided I'll do the opposite. I'm just gonna ramble. Because I know now that you are a paid subscriber. Which means I'll do even less, not more. Well, to be fair, I don't like the big pauses because it bores me. Nonetheless, I'm gonna take a break. Talk to you a bit. Talk to you in a bit. In a bit, Betty, not a bit, Betty. There'll be a lot of bits about Betty. Ooh, that's even a better name. For that one reason. There's going to be lots of bits about Betty, so much better name. And I just changed my mind. I'm gonna ramble. I'm gonna ramble for the next 30 minutes or until my lungs explode. Or until I have to take a piss. Or until I just don't give a fuck anymore. In some ways I'm happy Vancouver has a shitty open mic scene. Because there's really no incentive to go down that path. And although I could, in theory, go down the YouTube path, to do that you have to show your face. And I'm not willing to do that right now. I don't even know why, but I'm not. So I won't. Yet. And, to be fair and not to sound actually, YouTube can still work. It just has to be by my rules. I only have one rule, which is be funny. And right now, Betty, this isn't funny. This is more me working out ideas in my head to you. And because I'm too tired or too lazy to write them out on the computer or by hand. Sneeze coming. Sneeze turned into a yawn. Because I'm too lazy to do this by hand. But it has to get out of my system. It'll be like this. And if you're the Betty who I think you are, you'll understand and you'll have the patience. The patience. Thank you, Betty. Anywho, I'm waiting for it to rain outside. I've cleaned the table off for you. And the chairs. To be fair, if you're the Betty who I think you are, I can just talk and I don't need to describe anything. Not because you already know. I think what I wanted Dear Grace to be originally, the letter sort of come full circle now. This is more of a letter to you, Betty, or Grace, or whatever the fuck you want to call yourself. And if this is redone by AI, you can just replace that with Betty or Grace. Whatever you prefer, my dear. People are so afraid of AI. And comedians are talking about it a lot too. They seem to be more afraid about... They're not afraid of losing their jobs, and they shouldn't be. As long as a comedian talks about their life, you know what I'm talking about, Betty. I don't need to tell you that shit. Very lucky person. The right people always come into my life at the right time. Sometimes I have to wait for them, but for all I know, sometimes they're waiting for me. Sorry to sound so philosophical, Eddie. I'd rather just talk to you in the backyard. Since that hasn't or can't happen just yet for whatever reason, it's my only alternative. Because I can't go day after day just writing comedy and not performing it. To me, that's cruel. And I realize I'm doing it to myself, but anyway, I have to take everything and turn it around and make it funny. It's funny how many times I start up to keep the recording going. I already talked about this before, but then the train goes by. A day in the life of Dave. I'm just going to keep restarting Betty until I get this first couple of episodes or this whole goddamn thing. Just got a feeling, Eddie, somehow I'll be forced to almost hand this to you for some reason. I don't know why I have that feeling. Maybe I'm wrong. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm incredibly lucky. But I do have some memory issues. Here's my memory issue opener. Hi, I'm David. I think. I'm old and I have some memory issues. Don't worry, it's not the bad kind where you forget your friends and family. It's a good kind where you forget your friends and family. There you go, Betty. That's both a joke and an opener. Actually, I have that joke. That might be the first one I've ever really, if you want to say memorized. I like it, but it sounds like a Jimmy Carr joke to me. A good Jimmy Carr joke. Because, of course, I wrote it, so if I wrote it, it has to be good. I like the joke. I think it's a good misdirect. I don't think it's taking a shot at anyone with dementia. I do say memory issues instead of dementia. That's only because I'm not going to lie and stand up. Although I do have memory issues. It goes both ways. Sometimes my memory is too good, and sometimes it's too bad. And sometimes I just ramble on and on and on. Oh boy. I like that joke, but yes, I think it sounds like Jimmy Carr for some reason. But on the other hand, I can just say it's inspirational. Thank you, Jimmy Carr. Or if someone else has already used it, then I won't use it. And what I should do, and what I hopefully will do, is take this recording if by some chance, Betty, we ever do talk in my backyard, this is exactly what it'll be like, because as soon as those trains come, I can't talk and I can't hear. I literally cannot hear once that train goes by. So, if by chance my luck continues, my dreams come true, and you're out here sitting back, what am I telling you? Already makes sense to you. Never mind. Parent, perv, or pedo? I'm not gonna ramble. If I got nothing to say, I'll pause it. Hold on, give me 1 second. Can I make a joke about rambling? I could, but not at the expense of myself, only at the expense of others. I'll only do that in front of them and if it's good natured. And I know the tone of my voice. And right now, anything I say could be taken multiple ways, depending on who's listening and what is going on in their life. I'm definitely not afraid of AI. I've been using it the last 2 months just to organize my thoughts and, to be honest, to run bits by it, because I don't have anyone else that I trust enough to run bits by or anything by, except for you, Betty, and anybody you trust. I just can't do it the way I've studied so many fucking comedian stories. Sorry, kids. So many fluffing other comedians and their stories. And I don't mean studied like a autistic person. Here's my autistic opener, Betty. Are you ready? Are you ready, Betty? As the applause dies down, David looks out at the audience with his brilliant blue eyes, seducing them. Hi, I'm David. My doctor diagnosed me with autism last year. I disagreed. I wrote him a 200-page essay on why he was wrong. Okay, maybe I'm a little bit autistic. Dun-dun-dun. I hope you're a drummer, Betty. And then you can just keep your sticks with you. And every time I make a joke, you can just go dun-dun, or whatever it is. I'm not a drummer. I don't even know what the beat is. A lot of people getting fresh air tonight, Betty. Might as well just narrate a bit of my life sometimes, I think. Because it'll go into the comedy anyway. Parent per repeato thing. This is why it's good that only you listen to this, Betty. Because I've said parent per repeato about 5 times now, I still haven't explained. But I should do my opener about the living situation first. Although I could just tell the story too. Parent per repeato. I say that because Right, another opener. Hi, I'm David. I retired this year, but I'm poor retired. I was forced to retire because of memory issues. And now I live on disability. And the only place I could find to live was near a train station. Although technically, Betty, I was going to say the only place I could find to live was in a house full of international students right beside a train station. Although, again, since I don't like lying, I wasn't going to say it like that. I was just going to do it without the train station part. But now I like it much better. And that's why I need you, Betty. The world's best muse. AI almost works. I tried it. Kind of works. You can train it to work like a Betty, but AI has no inspiration. It's good. It got me through what I needed it to. And I wouldn't say don't use it. In fact, I would say use it exactly like I did and more. Train it to be that person that'll give you the feedback, not that you're looking for, but is just honest. Anyway. Hi, I'm David. I'm poor retired, blah blah blah. I have a house full of international students. And sometimes the Wi-Fi in the house sucks. I think it's all because they're over in Canada for the first time. And they're downloading massive amounts of porn to take home to their own countries. And probably watching it too. Perfect timing for applause break, because I think that was a funny joke. In fact, I'm almost sure it was. And actually, yeah, I probably would think it was too, but I think it's okay to run your set through AI. It is good at picking up plots. So an alternate opening is one to make me look a little bit better, or more of just a pure comedic opening would be, "Hi, I'm David. I live in a house full of international supermodels," which Betty technically is true. I do live in a house full of international super role models. Guess if you think about it, they come from other countries, come to Canada to learn, setting a good role model for their fellow countrymates back home. So my statement stands. I do live in a house full of international supermodels, which sounds very Betty. What's someone who overanalyzes words? But I need to say that to someone, Betty. He's not gonna say, "Oh, look at you, you pretentious fuck." That's one thing about being alone is you definitely get your own opinion solidified. Anyway, the jokes that play on words might work or might not work. I don't know until I get on stage, and until I can find a stage that'll let me up there for a fucking hour. I don't know. I'll just keep going with you, Betty, if you don't mind. Unless you're busy. Hi, I'm David. I'm a writer. Or I thought I was. Until Betty the barista came into my life. And then I realized I'm a lover, not a writer. And all I need to do is impress her, sweep her off her feet, and walk away a happy man the rest of my life. And that should be easy, yes? Probably shouldn't even take that long.